It might be a little bit of a surprise. I'm going with C.J. Stroud.
Oh.
CJ.
Well, you got some skin in this game.
Well, no, I do have some skin. and I'll get to that, but it's also Nico Collins out, so that's a problem. In terms of sacks, about the same level it's been, but Laramie Tunsil's been penalized 12 times, so some of those sacks that should have happened just become holding penalties instead. So there's been some pressure there, but really the issue is, when you look at CJ's interceptions, he's thrown 4 this year and only had 5 last year. Now take a look at what Green Bay's been doing. We can pull up the graphic. Last season they had 18 total takeaways. This year already they have 17 takeaways, which is number 1 in the league, and that's going to be a huge challenge for CJ. And here's the other part of this, is that when they beat Green Bay, assuming he plays well, and he is my MVP pick, so that's my skin in the game. So they beat Green Bay. Kansas City loses to San Francisco. Now suddenly the Arrowhead Invitational, it's not quite as
Chiefs could never win
certain.
an AFC title game on the road.
So it's important for they have an opportunity to play each other later in the season, but he's got to win this big game, and he's got to overcome these. Not the turnovers are crazy, but they're high for him against a team that's very good at it. And as my MVP pick, I'm just giving you a little extra motivation.
I like that. And he's facing J-Lo, so he's going to have to put
Nobody, Drew, you have to stop that.
Stop doing that. No one likes
It's
that.
catching on.
Where? I haven't seen it written outside of
Jordan from the block, baby.
Coach, don't encourage.
I love it, bro.
Don't
I don't know why y'all don't like it.
Okay.
Coach
Why
got
it's such a
taste.
good segment.
Okay. It's interesting. I know sometimes they use this under duress list for 2 different ways, right? One, sometimes it's like, hey, you've been struggling, or hey, you're under a tremendous amount of pressure, or, you know, whatever it may be. And sometimes it is like kind of like motivating, right? It's like, I know you're great, and now I need you to rise to the occasion, right? So the fact that CJ Stroud was put on the list by Mangini, it like doesn't automatically mean like, you're not playing too well, like, come on, step it up. But it is still surprising nonetheless, because this will definitely be a hard game for the Texans. Make no mistake about it. I think CJ Stroud's been playing unbelievable and is absolutely a top MVP candidate. And I guess I have some skin in the game as well, considering I picked him and Jordan Love to be the top 2 contenders for MVP this season, before the season ever started. So I think it's interesting because the Texans aren't full strength. You are taking away his number 1 receiver. So I don't think the pressure is on for CJ to get this win, more so than it is to just for him to continue to play great, right? I think if I'm looking at this as a Texans fan perspective, I'm like, hey, I don't need this win. I want this win, and this win will be huge. Because right then, you are fighting for the number 1 seed in the AFC, and now you can fight for a bye and home field advantage throughout the playoffs. That's huge. And so now every win, of course, matters, especially with the Chiefs remaining undefeated currently. So if the Chiefs win again and now the Texans lose, right, it just, that gap gets farther and farther away. But also, if I'm also trying to look at it from a bigger perspective, I just want my team to be like, you know, if I'm rooting for the Texans here, it's like, I want to see them just continue to prove that they are a top contender, that they are resilient, that they can win big games, or at the very least that they can just be in big games, right? I'm more concerned if the Texans just lose this game 35-20 or something, right? 35-21, right? Something like that, whatever it may be, where, or even like 21-10. Just a game that's just like, oh man, the Texans really never felt like they really had a chance in this game, or they did, and then the fourth quarter got completely out. Like, right, it was like a back and forth game throughout it, and then the fourth quarter it just completely got away from them, right? The Packers score a touchdown, then the Texans go 3 and out, and then the Packers march down the field again and score another touchdown, and it's like, great, now you're down 2 scores, and there's 6 minutes to go, right? Like one of those type games. But I want to see that the Texans continue to prove that they are a top team in the NFL, that they are a true contender, that CJ Stroud and the Texans can play clean elevated ball because they haven't this season, right? They haven't been able to play many clean games, even in wins, even a game against the Patriots. They have a fumbled snap or like a snap, they were just not on the same page. The interception, which again, I know it wasn't CJ Stroud's fault, but it still is an interception. It's still going off. Like it's still some messiness that as you get later into the season and when you're fighting for the number one seed and a first round bye and potentially a one-way ticket to the AFC Championship game and a home game at that, it's like those are the little things you got to take care of. You got to minimize, and especially come time playoffs, you can't have those. And I've been saying that again and again and again and again about the Texans. I'm banging that drum because it's like my expectations for them are so high. Clean this up. You keep stacking these wins, and then everybody has to go through you come time playoffs. And especially if you're playing a high refined ball, not only do they have to come through you, but then they also have to bring their A game, their best game to beat you, right? And that's the reality. So that's where you want to be, of course, if you're the Texans. And I think they can get there. And this will actually be a really good game because, again, I think the Packers are a great team. I think they are absolutely a top team. And this is where we will continue to learn a lot about who the Texans are. What is their approach? Because we know that the Packers have a great run defense. And we know that the Texans, when they have a better run game going, that really opens up everything for CJ Stroud and Bobby Slowick, for that matter. So it's how do the Texans find a way to either put CJ in an awesome situation to succeed, regardless of the run game, or how do they figure out how to still establish the run game despite going up against a top run defense with the Packers, right? Those are some of the things that I'm really going to be looking for in this game. So I don't think it all falls down on CJ Stroud. I believe in CJ Stroud. If anything, the Bud list, or who's under duress, if anything, it should be Bobby Slowick. What type of game plan do you bring against the Packers? How do you put CJ Stroud in a position to succeed? How do you elevate Diggs and Tank and Joe Mixon, right? Like, how do you do that against a really gritty, physical, tough, imaginative team for the Packers, right? Who are also now fighting for their own division, which is, for them, like every game is kind of a must-win in a weird way because that division is so close. It's so tight that, like, they can't drop any games right now. They can't afford to, and they've already lost a divisional game, so they got to start stacking wins. So it's going to be interesting. This is definitely going to be a really exciting game and one of my main games that I definitely cannot wait. Watch two great quarterbacks who are up and coming technically to kind of see them go toe to toe. I mean, like, this could legit be a Super Bowl preview. So I'm excited. Should be fun either way. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? Do you think CJ Stroud should be under duress or the Houston Texans at all? Who do you got in this game? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.